Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Whenever you get a chance to hear this, thank you for joining this morning talk. Hey guys, today I just wanted to kind of follow my heart on something. This one's near and dear to me because I think we misplace a lot of our blame and we don't have compassion and understanding sometimes. And I always just go with the flow. Whatever my talks I do, I just do it by the prompting of the universe. What is pushing on me. You can call it God, source, universe, whatever. And I go with it. Well, yesterday it got me thinking. I was listening to some music. And love him or hate him, or laugh at me or not for being my age and still occasionally listening to rap. But I was listening to Tupac yesterday, and this one lyrics in this song hit a nerve. And he was just basically talking about how everybody blames the youth for our problems, and you see this now. And to be honest, this generation is very lost, and they are very propagandized, and we tend to want to blame them instead of looking at ourselves. And it's true, like in that song, Tupac was essentially saying, everybody blames the youth, but they don't realize that they're the ones who handed them the fucked up world. Messed up situations, instead of fixing the problem so that the youth could come into a world that was good to them, not evil, not misdirecting and confusing. And I do say this a lot today. These kids, man, we blame them so much. It's like we act like they're the problem, for what's going on. And I would say absolutely not. Are they a product of the problems? Yes. See, these kids, people, they've been propagandized and brainwashed on a higher level than we ever were. I grew up, going to school in the 80s and 90s. And we were still getting hit with propaganda and all, kinds of stuff, just like every generation pretty much. But I lived in that generation that was before cell phones, before that transition into the internet, and then eventually into pagers and cell phones and all that. So I seen life before that and then life after. And obviously after, things have sped up quite a bit. The pressure's been a lot worse. So we have a generation of kids right now that have only grown up only knowing cell phones and the internet. And they've grown up in a generation that's been propagandized and brainwashed on a level that we never could comprehend at their age. And with parents that are propagandized and radicalized, with school systems that are propagandized and radicalized. They've grown up in a generation that gets more jabberoos put in them than any generation ever, with higher levels of autism than ever, with higher levels of autoimmune issues than ever, with higher levels of allergies than ever. They've been born up into a generation that almost from the day they were born, they were getting fed GMOs, poison, higher levels of artificial ingredients and artificial sweeteners in their foods than we ever got growing up. Folks, have you ever stopped and look at okay, when I was a kid, my favorite cereal was Lucky Charms. Have you tried Lucky Charms now? It's disgusting. It tastes like cardboard. I guarantee you, if you looked at the ingredients back in the 80s and 90s compared to a box of Lucky Charms now, it would have twice the chemicals and half the real ingredients. And it's probably GMOs now too. Back then it wasn't. Now we have to pay more to buy food that's not GMO. See how they do the bait and switch? They bring out the poison, then they make the food that doesn't have the poison more expensive. So it forces you to buy the poison if you're on a fixed budget or have monetary limitations and struggles. So we sit here and we blame these kids. Look at these kids, they're goofy. They don't know even what they are anymore. And I'm not even going to say that word because it's a trigger word for the AI, the algorithms. You know, they're lost. They're this and that. They don't believe in God. Folks, everything you're talking about and blaming them for, you better look in that mirror and you better blame yourself. Because we gave them this world, like Tupac said. And this was back in the 90s when Tupac was saying this. Imagine now. Could you imagine what he would think now, looking at this? The 90s were actually, the 80s and 90s, folks, were a good time, relatively speaking. It was a time of peace for the most part. Oh yes, we know our government's always been involved in its wars for profit. However, races got along good for the most part. I mean, I went to a very diverse school. Everybody got along. Like, race didn't even matter. Yeah, there were a few races, but not many. You go to parties, you hang out. It was every mixed group of people and race you could imagine. At least that was the school I went to. I grew up in Colorado. Colorado was a pretty open society. It was a pretty, diverse, but it was a pretty laid back, chill society to grow up in. So I guess I don't have the vision of growing up in an inner city or something, or a really populous state, like New York or California or something, and Florida or something. I get that. Maybe I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses here. However, folks, the day these kids are put in school, they are propagandized. They were put in a fear matrix heavier than we ever were. Now, our parents might have been, you could say they were put in more of a fear matrix even, with the whole Cold War scares and get under your tables and air sirens and all that. See, folks, they've been MK Ultraing us forever as a population. The easiest population to control is one that's in fear, that lives in constant fear and anxiety. Then people can't find their power. People can't stand up. They can't unite. Well, these poor kids, man, they have been put under the heaviest load of MK Ultra you could ever imagine. Look at how many of these kids the last few years didn't even have a regular graduation because of this BS. Because of this evil doctrine that I shall not name. And hopefully you're smart enough to read between the lines. Look at how it messed these kids up. Well, before that, they were already getting messed up. They have teachers now from the day in kindergarten scaring them about the climate. We're all gonna die. Oh my God, the oceans are gonna rise. The funniest thing about this earth and the problems I see with it, oh yeah, they blame it on the common folk, right? All I see is it getting raped and pillaged by politicians and corporations. That's who. That's who's destroying the earth. Who's poisoning the water, the skies, the food, the medicine. They're the psychopaths that rule this world, the politicians, the CEOs. See, they all come from the same initiate schools. They all come from the same fraternities, the same secret societies. They're demons. Figuratively speaking and actually speaking. Our kids, these youth, the music's poison, the frequencies this music's being produced at purposely agitates them. We have politicians and teachers and idiot parents that are also a bunch of radicalized idiots, propagandized morons, NPCs. Teaching these kids we're going backwards in race relations, folks, because of these people, these demons. We didn't have these issues in the 80s and 90s like we have now. They're doing this on purpose, folks. They're causing the hate, the division. They're putting us through MK Ultra, and they're doing it worse to the youth because, see, folks, they realize that Gen X and baby boomer generation and all that, they understand that for the most part we're set in our ways. We ain't gonna change. Probably Gen X is probably the grittiest generation there is, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Gen Xer, but we don't give a fuck about these fucks and their lies and their deception. Most of us are awake. It doesn't matter if you're right or left leaning. We figured it out. We see through the matrix, the bullshit. But they go after the youth because they believe that if they MK Ultra and they, mass mind control and propagandize these kids from the time they hit school and on, and they finish it off with a bow in the universities with radicalized professors pushing Marxism, pushing globalism, which is so funny because these freaking idiots, man, that push all this, they don't realize that once this world totalitarian system's put in place, they're the first that are going to be dismissed with, if you get my meaning. I mean, that's how dumb these idiots are. I mean, they're just... I do question sometimes if a lot of these people are actually NPCs and not real humans, not soul, controlled avatars, but just computer controlled NPCs. Because the Matrix, the quantum field, is a type of computer system. I don't know, folks, but we blame the youth. The youth were given this world. And we didn't fight back. We didn't push back. We kept electing these lying psychopaths into positions of power. We kept listening to their honeyed words and falling for it. Oh, and look at how many of the youth look how dramatic the youth have dropped in going to church and following faiths and all this. I mean, you look at these churches, man, it's all old people. Middle-aged to old people. That's it. Kids ain't going to that no more. And a lot of you will rail at that. Oh, that's Satan's work. He's causing the kids not. No, it's your fault. Because your religion is part of the system too. And maybe they're rejecting a lot of the bullshit coming out of your pews. See, folks, all these ancient texts and all this is being uncovered, and we have access to it like we never had before. See, the Roman Catholic Church has lost control of the information. The World Councilate of Churches, which all of your denominations give homage to and get their marching orders from. And y'all believe that that's truth. Y'all believe in the lies of rapture. Oh, I don't have to do shit. I'll sit on my ass. Oh, yeah. The Lord's going to fly me away. It's going to be amazing as the world's burning and everybody's getting pitchforks in their butts. I'm going to be just floating away on a cloud. Oh, rapture's not even in the Bible, folks. It's man-made doctrine that came out by a traveling grifter in the frickin' 1800s. And it was added into all the church doctrine because you sheep are dumb. You're easy to control. Don't you get it? It was so easy to get you to fall for the easy pill, right? Just sit on your ass, bro. Don't do nothing. The Lord's going to fly you away. Instead, actually believing that our Creator expects you to have a backbone, to stand in your power, to take dominion over this world, not to be a animal that is easily controlled and manipulated. And then you blame it on the kids. Oh, they don't go to my church no more. Yeah, because your church teaches bullshit. That's why. It's only worried about making money and buying real estate. The pastor's only worried about buying his new Lexus, buying a new suit, playing it off like he's the Lord's voice. Well, I would question what Lord he's a voice for. Because if you actually read the Old Testament, you'll realize that is the devil, not the creator of all. So, yeah, maybe you're right, man. He's doing the Lord's work, all right. Grifting everybody. Grifter. These politicians are just as bad. I mean, it don't matter what side. I mean, everybody's like, oh, this guy's going to be the one to save us. Oh, no, that one's going to be... I mean, you guys all fall for it. I mean... Have you ever thought that we're the answer, not them? Have you ever thought that maybe we should reach hands across the aisle and work together with our brothers and sisters that think differently than we do? Have you ever thought that's the way towards rebuilding this world? And see, when you fall for the division and you become a division or an agent of the division, you're no better. You just perpetrate the downfall. And we blame these kids, man. We've let this fester for so long. We've let this go on. We've been under debt-based slavery for so long. Our grandparents put us in this. Our parents put us in this. See, they didn't do anything either. These politicians have been getting us in wars and wars and wars forever. The United States has been in a state of emergency, a military state of emergency forever. It never gets lifted. See, folks, you're under the illusion that you have constitutional rights. See, they play off your constitutional rights to your face, but the truth is you have no rights. They're just playing you. It's bait and switch. There's no justice because we're ruled by tyrants and psychopaths. It's time to wake up, folks. And you blame the youth for all this? Man, they were given this world. They were propagandized that any day they're going to die. You had Al Gore, fraudsters like that out there. Oh, by 2016, there will be no livable land. All the land will be covered by the water because of the warming effect. These people are all fucking liars, man. All of them. I'm sorry to be cussing in this video so much, folks. I'm just furious because it really hit a nerve when I listened to those lyrics. You know, and of course, Tupac was talking about inner city issues and all that. But as all, like Tupac always said in his songs, it ain't, with him, it's not a black or white thing. It's an us versus them thing. See, they had to get rid of him. He was too powerful. He had too much influence. And he's seen through the lies of these world controllers. Now, a lot of you'll say he was a puppet and all this and that. And, you know, I do believe he fell. Went a little wayward when he went with Death Row Records. The fame got to his head. But when he wrote, he still got a lot of truth through. That was his way. But hey, this ain't a thing about Tupac, folks. Love him or hate him, like I said. It's a thing about our youth. We've got to start teaching them these things. We've got to start getting them to see what's going on. We've got to start showing them. We've got to start unwrapping the MK Ultra. We've got to start teaching them to work together with others, not to fall for the division. We've got to tell them the truth, folks. I've done the best I can with my boys. And, kids are always going to rebel about what their parents or the authorities tell them. Especially when their teachers are telling them the opposite of what you're trying to tell them. See, these people are agents for this system. They're not... I'm not saying every teacher... Look, folks. See, my son tells me about his teachers. But from what he tells me, about 3/4 of them are part of this propaganda. They believe in it. They're propagandized into it. Only 1/4 of his teachers are free thinkers. And teach them to be free thinkers. And, lead more with the ideals of freedom and the original ideals of the United States, the Bill of Rights and such. There's not many teachers that believe in that anymore. I bet you if you were to poll all of your teachers all the way from kindergarten all the way up through, 4-year college level professor, I bet you about 80% of them think that the Constitution should be changed, that gun rights should be taken out, that First Amendment rights should be limited, that, people, they should be able to force you to take like certain things in your body, all these just for your protection, right? And I'm sure they'd add an amendment that, that basically you're not allowed to have energy or, heating or cooling or ways to cook food in your house. They would do away with all that. Transportation. I mean, these people are freaking idiots, folks. See, here's the truth. We live in a universe full of abundance. We are literally living in energy. Everything is energy. See, Tesla understood this. The Egyptians understood this. Folks, the pyramids around the earth were a grid built on ley lines. They were systems designed to pull energy out of the atmosphere, out of the ether, whatever you want to call it. And they had ways of multiplying that, of condensing it down. And in ancient times, they used this as ways. They had electricity, at least to a certain degree. That's what the Ankhs were used for. And they, you'll have you ever heard how there's like no scorch marks in the pyramids at their lowest levels from like torches and stuff? Anything that has been is from recent, probably from, the robbers, that used to go and break in the pyramids to steal artifacts. See, they had devices. They used the pyramids for power devices, power generators back then, folks. They had lighting. They had all these things. See, we haven't been told all this. We've been lied to. Because it ruins the whole Darwin theory, because we're devolving. We're not evolving like they keep saying we are. But it's not our fault. We could be evolving, but they're trying to ruin us. They're poisoning us. And they're doing it to our youth worse than they ever did to us. I feel bad for these kids. You look at them, they're so lost. They're so afraid. They're afraid of these, worldwide situations like we just went through, if you get my meaning. They're being MK Ultra constantly through their music, through their teachers, through even the parents. Some of these parents are just brainwashed freaking idiots. And it's just sad, man. And then we get mad at these kids, man. Well, what the hell did we do? What did we allow? What did our parents allow? What did our grandparents allow? When I look at the elderly generation, it seems to me as if all they care about is getting theirs. They don't give a shit. They lived in a generation where you could live off one income. You could own a house, a car, and your wife could stay home with 4 or 5 kids. They retired with pensions and Social Security and all this, and all they do is you hear them bitching and moaning about, oh, I'm not getting enough and blah blah blah. Well, dude, I mean, they don't even see that their grandkids will never have any of this stuff because it's all been taken away slowly but surely. They can't even understand that their grandkids will never be able to own a home. That they're trying to make houses so expensive and mortgages so expensive that they'll never be able to unless they pool 10 people's money together to try to do it. And then, of course, a lot of them are being taught this WEF bullshit in their schools, telling them, well, you'll be better off just living in a little cubicle, in a 300-story high-rise, box of hell called an apartment. And don't worry, you'll get universal basic income, just enough to survive in your little 500 square foot, 1-bedroom box, Oh, don't worry, you're not allowed to use heating or electricity, though, because our renewable energy doesn't power up our cities anymore because all the power goes to electric cars that are poisoning our ground, and we've about just, strip mine most of the earth trying to get rare earth elements to build these batteries. I mean, these people fall for this BS and they actually think this is a good way to go. See, folks, there is abundance. We have all that we need here. We're just not well, let me say they know they have the technology. Trust me, they have the technology. They're just not allowing humanity to use it to free us. Because, see, folks, if we have free energy, then we don't need them anymore. They need a way to rob you and pillage you and tax you into oblivion, into servitude, into perpetual slavery. They don't want free energy, even though it's there. It's always been there. See, the ancients used that. They don't want you to understand what the pyramids were for. They don't want you to ever learn about Atlantis, because Atlantis had like a mass Wi-Fi power grid built with crystal devices and stuff. They used the elements of the earth to pull energy from the ether, from the atmosphere. Tesla was trying to work on this stuff. That's why they had to shut him down. They had to, see, it's never been about you guys. It's always been about them. They're psychopaths. See, psychopaths crave power and ultimate power. And no matter how much power they get, they want more power and control. See, they're demons. I believe, personally, that a lot of these psychopaths, they are spirits that got lost and went too deep in this realm, in the duality. They lost their way, and they don't want to go back to the light, so when they pass away, they just jump right back in line and come right back to the earth. Maybe they figured out shortcuts to reincarnate like right away, because they don't want to go back home, because they've fallen in love with the dark. They don't want to go back to the light, to the high vibration, the high vibratory dimensions we come from. They want to stay in the low dimension, and the darker they get, the deeper they get into this dimension, and the more they want to control and force more of us to join them. Oh, wow. This really went down a deep, dark road, folks. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to black pill you or anything, okay? We just need to realize what's going on. And we need to stop blaming the youth. We need to start teaching the youth. We need to start helping the awaken the youth. We need to start helping them find enlightenment. We need to start teaching them the power of the mind, of the energy we have, energy healing. We need to start teaching them that, unfortunately, they're going to have to pick up the torch, because we have failed. Our parents have failed. Our grandparents failed. And they may be the last somewhat free generation, because the way these things are going, if they push their world global totalitarian system through and it gets finalized, folks, there will be no more freedom. And look, I've said it before, we're born slaves in this world, debt slaves and such. But we have a certain amount of modicum of freedom, at least the illusion of freedom. Well, this will be no illusion of freedom either. It'll be in your face tyranny with a boot forever stomping on your face, on their faces. We've got to do something about this. I'm not talking physical violence or anything. I'm talking like we've got to wake people up. We've got to start standing up to these people. We've got to pool our energy. We've got to pool our spirits to stop these people. We've got to fix this realm, folks. If not, it's time for this realm to get reset. Now, they think they're going to reset it with them being the ones on top. It may come to another full reset like the flood. Because every time these demons take power, they run society into the ground at some point, world society. That was seen in Atlantis. And, let's just say the Earth has a way of resetting the button on the matrix, on the computer system. Whether that's cosmic or internal from the Earth, it doesn't matter, folks. And the Earth, so you got to understand, folks, Earth, Gaia, is a living being. It is a conscious entity. And because all things are consciousness, folks. Everything has a consciousness. Water, the element of water, the element of fire, the element of wind, all of these things that are part of Gaia and how it operates, they are all conscious. And you can work with those elements in understanding and help those elements and merge with them, or you can try to destroy them, which is what these demons are trying to do. And they'll kick back, folks. Just look at what they've done to the air, to our water, to our food, to our minds, to the ground. It's just, these demons have tried to poison everything. And a lot of you will just sit around, well, it's the youth's fault. Man, they were just given this world, folks. They didn't ask for it to be like this. And a lot of them are radicalized because they know no better. So if you're hating on them, you're just misplacing it. Like I said, look in the mirror. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to try to work on helping wake up others? Are you going to work with these youth? Are you going to teach your children? Are you too busy watching football? Are you too busy watching YouTube videos? Are you too busy playing games or drinking with your buddies or cheating on your wife? I don't know. I'm not saying all of you do that, but there sure are some that are pretty distracted, right? And we got to be better fathers and mothers. We all have shortcomings. Like, trust me, there's a lot of things I regret raising my boys that I wish I would have done better. But I try. But one thing I've always done is I've always tried to teach my kids about the reality of this realm, about the powers that be, about the powers behind. I've tried to teach them about their own innate abilities and powers, through the spirit, from the higher vibratory levels, our higher self. And I've tried to teach them those things. And how kids are, they take some of it and they leave a lot of it because they think their parents are full of it. Right? But you're at least planting those seeds, and one day they can fall back on that stuff. But if we just let the world run our kids and raise our kids, folks, it's humanity's looking at a future that I can't even fathom. And we've gone so far from the Garden of Eden that we are absolutely turning this place into, a type of hell. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys. I guess I like to usually end on a really positive message. I guess the only positive message I have right now, folks, on this talk is you've got be a better parent, be a better mentor to some of these kids. If it's a coworker, a young coworker that you're, you know, that they just joined and you're working with them, and I'm not saying blast them with all your, thoughts and all this stuff, right? No, but figure out ways just to drop little seeds, plant little seeds in their mind, and you'll be surprised. These young kids, man, they are so desperate for some kind of truth because their whole world is lies that you'd be surprised that they'll start asking you things. We got to help these kids, man, because they're the only ones that are going to help fix this. And if we just wipe them away like they're a lost cause, man, it's going to hurt everybody, including them. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you later.